This is the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads, author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Make More Money Selling Your Art, Proven Techniques to Turn Your Passion into Profit.
In the Marketing Minute, I try to answer your marketing questions, and you can always email them to me, eric@plenairmagazine.com. From Boulder, Colorado, Suzanne Cable asks, how much and how stylized should framing be? I always struggle with framing since I feel like the buyer may want their own style. Well, that's always an option, Suzanne. Buyers sometimes change paintings. Galleries sometimes change paintings. I have a painting hanging in my house that David LaFell painted in 1968. It's a frame that he made himself. It's just beautiful, but it matches the mood of the painting. And he told me about that he couldn't find a frame that matched the mood, so he made what he envisioned. Sometimes a frame complements the painting. Sometimes you want it to blend in. Sometimes you want it to draw you in. It depends on your taste as an artist. And sometimes the gallery changes the frames for the marketplace. Markets are different. Some markets are like gold frame markets. Others are black frame markets. Some are ornate markets. Others are modern, clean lines. It's all dependent on the market where it's going. So it might get changed after the fact. You want to put your best foot forward, though, and try to get it right. Start by matching your taste to the painting. I tell a story about a gallery down south which had an unsold painting in the gallery for a year. The owner had it reframed with a very expensive, like $1,400 frame. No, it was a $2,500 frame, and it sold in the first week for 4 times the price. Frames matter. Rich people don't respond to cheap frames unless they look really great. All too often, artists buy what they can afford to buy and put them in frames, and I understand that, but frames are like cars. Some people see themselves in a Bentley. Others see themselves in a bucket of bolts. The best possible frame you can put on it, you can always up the price to get compensated for the frame. Frames help sell things. Great frames matter. Put great frames on your paintings. They really will help. And a lot of people don't have the vision to know what kind of frame to put on them, so sometimes they'll just keep them on them. Others will change it. All right. Here's another question from Shonda Sue in Alexandria, Minnesota. Sorry, Shonda Sue. Shonda Sue says, how do you sort through all the art fairs to determine which ones will likely be more successful for you? Well, Shonda Sue, I would apply what I call a market evaluation to the process. Everything you do marketing-wise, you want to attach an outcome and a metric. What are the things that are going to make that outcome come true? What are we call them critical drivers. So in a fair, what is the outcome you want from the fair? Let's say you invest $1,000 to be in the fair. What's the minimum outcome you have to get back for that fair to be successful? What's the desired outcome? Let's say your desired outcome is 10 grand in sales. What's your desired outcome? How do you get it? What are the critical drivers to that desired outcome? Well, first off, it's having paintings that are going to get you to that price. It's going to have paintings that are, you might have a strategy to sell volume. You might have a strategy to sell a lot of $25 paintings to get to $10,000. You might have one big one. What does it take to pull people into the booth, to attract people? What kind of sales does it take? What's the makeup of the attendee? Who's there? What can they afford? What neighborhoods are they coming from? Is work selling at the show? Frankly, I think it's kind of like a magazine. Like you want to look for concentrated audiences. Like my magazines are concentrated audiences of buyers. You want to get to the buyers. Volume doesn't matter. Somebody can say, hey, I'm going to have 1 million people through the art show. Well, do you want 1 million people traipsing through your booth that aren't going to spend anything? You want to attract the money people. You got to figure out a way to attract them, draw them in. Get the right audiences visiting your booth and not wasting your time. And you want people who are going to spend, not sit there and stroke your ego and say, oh, your painting's beautiful. Well, why don't you buy something if it's so beautiful? So what matters is that people are buying. Do they have the money to buy? Or are they going to buy pot holders or T-shirts? You got to understand that about the fair. And some of the best way to do that is go to the fair on your own a year in advance and then consider it for the next year. Talk to the artist, find out what's selling. Find out from people who are Call in advance people who have been to the show, not from the show organizers, because they're never going to tell you the whole story. They might not know the whole story. Again, know your market. I also think you need a strategy. Everything I do has a strategy attached, or it should anyway, if I'm doing my job. Like if I'm speaking somewhere, I want to go in there knowing the room, knowing the outcome. What am I going to take out of there? Am I going to try and promote something? Am I going to try to build an image? Am I going to try to get them to spend some money? The same thing with a fair. So just know your outcomes. Know your shows. Know your lighting. Know what's going to draw people in. What can you do that nobody else is doing that's going to make you stand out? How do you engage people? How do you get them talking? What do you say to them when they say things like, I'll think about it? You need to have a plan. You don't want to go into that unprepared. Need to be ready and loaded for every possible thing. Sit down, write down every possible objection that you're going to get, and then come up with an answer for that objection. If you do, you're golden. You'll outsell every booth there. I hope this helps.
This has been the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads. You can learn more at artmarketing.com.